And this also goes along with the hookup culture. It's like we think it's okay to hook up with people and to have sex with people and then discard them. Nobody is ever fulfilled from that. That's why they keep doing it. That's why they keep needing somebody else to fill the void, because you're filling a void. It is not, I feel so fulfilled by hooking up with women. It's, I need something new. Here's where masculinity comes into play and how everything is so messed up nowadays. We think masculinity is getting every single woman that you can and taking action on that, right? You get praise as a man for getting with more girls. And there's a biological aspect to this. There's a lot of men in today's world that are very awkward, very weird. Women don't really find them attractive. So if you're a guy that can get girls, other women know that you're probably at least somewhat of a safe individual to be around. That's why certain women are attracted to men who have options. That makes people very uncomfortable because that's how it actually operates. The weak men, we think it's strong for a man to get all these girls. To have the opportunity is yes, and you need some sort of potential and confidence within you to be able to do that, but it's weak to take upon all those options and to never be in a relationship. You're avoiding responsibility. You're avoiding to have to provide for a woman, and that is what leads to the downfall of our entire society. When you have a society of men who are just using women for their bodies, it's what men think they want, and that's what women think that men want. There's certain women that are like, well, I had sex with him on the first date, like I gave him what he wanted, like, and he just left me. It's like, no, honey, that's not what he wanted, because he's been doing that for women. What he deeply desires is for a woman to tell him no. For the guy that just hooks up with girls and just tries to stick his dick in her and it works every time, what his ego needs is for you to say, no, I don't want to have sex with you. Because then he's going to start to question himself, and maybe what I'm doing isn't fulfilling me, maybe it's not fulfilling the women I'm with, and maybe it's not the way to go about my life. Look, hookup experiences, the first few times you do them, they're fun, right? It's new, exciting, you're with a new person. Then it starts to morph into addiction, and you start to use people. When you think you're a very powerful man because you sleep with all these women, you're actually one of the weakest men possible, because what would make you the strongest man is being in a fulfilling relationship and actually committing to somebody and helping them grow and allowing them to help you as well, because you don't have to face yourself by just hooking up with people. Let's say you're a young woman who had a very poor relationship with her father. Your dad wasn't really there for you, maybe wasn't there physically in the household. Your dad can be there for you, be there physically, but not actually there for you. Like, he's not having intellectual, emotionally stimulating conversations, so you feel like you don't have the bond with your father. Let's take the example even more extreme of a father who's a little bit emotionally like abusive. He kind of like talks down to you, he's very rude. You'll notice that in your future relationships, there may be men that you're with that do this as well. The reason as to why you stay in these relationships is because this is your only example of love and of men. And so what you deeply need is to feel love and interconnected with a man. Your father did not give that to you. So you go into relationships with men that are similar to your father, hoping that you can get deep love and connection from them, which you usually don't, because these men are very disconnected from themselves, just like your father was. And so you don't get what you want, and you continue to get walked all over. And this goes for, men as well in other areas. You attract what you think is okay. What's most important to realize is that, how do you feel in your relationship? Do you feel powerful? When I say powerful, I don't mean do you feel like you're better than your partner, whether you're a man or woman. I mean, do you feel confident when you're around them? Do they make you feel good about yourself? Do you feel like you can have stimulating, deep conversations with them? Do you feel like you can talk about life? Do you feel like you can talk about your goals, not only without being judged, but by them holding the space for you and supporting you? Do you feel like you can open up about your past and have him or her not judge you for it? Instead, actually listen, hold the space, and fully try and understand, hey, why did you do this thing in the past? Why did this happen? And also understanding none of us are perfect individuals. If your relationship is built on growth and you feel like you're growing together, that's how you know you're in a healthy relationship. If it's anything but that, you're probably not in a healthy relationship. Not to say that you can't morph it into that, but it requires two people to be able to morph it into that. And usually when you're so comfortable not growing for so long, one person usually isn't going to want to change, and that's going to breed a lot of issues. In fact, your relationship will end, even if it doesn't end tomorrow, and you stay in the relationship for another 5 years, it'll end at some point, or you'll stay together forever and be miserable forever. That happens plenty of times for all the people who deeply want to get divorced, but they're like, oh, we want to stay together for the kids, or like, we're just in this, and we're financially bonded to each other, whatever the case is. There's so many incongruencies between men and women nowadays. Look at how happy your parents are. If your parents aren't happy, don't use them as an example of how you should go about your relationships. And here's another thing. Don't take their advice. But you're like, well, it's my mom and my dad. Like, I should take their advice. I care what they think. Yeah, but the relationship is horrific. they're divorced. Here's where it gets very tricky, because sometimes the mother or the father will have very extreme views of, now, all right, we got divorced. Never get married. You instill that in your kid from a very young age. I don't think marriage itself is a failing institution. The reason it's failing is because of our culture and because religion is dying. People don't care about anything spiritual. People don't care about anything else but themselves. And when we have a society that only cares about us, how we're doing, then we neglect other people. And how can you be in a romantic relationship and truly care for someone else if you're just focused on yourself all the time? And that's where we can even deceive ourselves with the self-growth stuff. Like, I need to focus on self-development. It's like, you got to incorporate that with your partner. And if they can't incorporate that with you, they're probably not right for you. For example, for me, I very much value self-growth. And if my partner is focused on that, I feel incredibly disconnected from her. And then I invite her, hey, babe, you should go to the gym with me. Hey, we should go on a walk together. Bring up a certain topic. Hey, we should have this type of conversation. This space isn't held for me. Then what? Disconnect, distance, relationship isn't working. Now, it's not to say that when these disconnects occur in your relationship and insecurities come up, that things are instantly over. That's not what it means at all. In fact, it is the beginning to a flourishing relationship if you are both mature enough to actually want a relationship. Most people, going back to our relationships real, most people don't want relationships. Most people want to feel cared for, to feel loved, to have their needs fulfilled without having to do anything for anyone else, without having to deal with the challenges of a relationship, without having to have differing opinions on big topics. You're different human beings. And this is where like the I need to meet my perfect girl comes in, I'll accept nothing less. You're just trying to have somebody be the exact version of you. But there's no growth in that, because if you have an exact version of you and you're egotistical, then your partner's egotistical, now you're not helping each other grow. If every single area of belief systems are completely off, like, yeah, your relationship's not going to work because you disagree on absolutely everything. But you're different human beings, you're going to disagree on things. But what does this do? It gives you an opportunity for growth, because there's things and truths that I believe about this world currently in my next relationship I will get into, and my woman will say something that will spark something in my brain, and I'll think, oh, I need to change that point of view. Or, oh, I realize I'm wrong. And then your man will do that for you as well if you're a woman. Relationships are growth-oriented all the time if you let them be. If they're not growth-oriented, they're either staying stagnant, only stays stagnant for a very short period of time, until you're going all the way down until things get really rough, and then obviously the relationship ends.